Rushing Manhwa.
The Earth enters a new ice age. Global temperatures continue to fall. A man, visibly cold, asks people not to lose hope. The man says that the government has not forgotten about them, and that together they will overcome this crisis. The reporter, determined for everyone to get out of this situation, says, "Let's go, together." And so the broadcast ends, with the TV completely frozen. A voice calls out for Han Feng. Our protagonist walks towards the door to see who is calling him. A young woman, wearing winter clothes, appears in front of him. She is scared. Young Han Feng asks what she is doing there. The boy asks the young woman to come in, saying it is dangerous to be outside. Before he entered, the young woman knocked on the door. The young girl kisses Han Feng. But now? "This is my boy, I taught you guys." The kiss continues without stopping. Apparently this beautiful maiden was in great need of some saliva. Han Feng is embarrassed and asks what she is doing. The young girl says that she realized that Han Feng is the one she truly loves. The young woman says that he is who she should be with, that only in a crisis can one see people's true nature. She asks him to feel her heart if he doesn't believe her. The blonde says she's willing to do anything with him now. Han Feng, surprised, asks, "Anything? Wow, guys, I think they're talking about that? Human reproduction." The naughty girl gets flustered and throws her leg over our protagonist's third leg. Han Feng is extremely embarrassed. Han Feng says that her words mean a lot to him. She asks him not to say anything else and just close his eyes. The big boy says he already closed his eyes and asks what happens now. Then, out of nowhere, a monstrous creature approaches. But of course, is it really that easy? It was suspicious. The shocked young woman asks if her partner killed Han Feng. Then the guy who attacked him says that she shouldn't try to play innocent and that he knew our protagonist had to die. He says that the world went to hell a long time ago and that having one less mouth to feed won't change anything. Then, as if that weren't enough, he walks to our poor protagonist's house to ransack his house. I'm genuinely so angry at this bitch. I want her to die. Right now, our young man is left injured and lying on the ground. Han Feng, unable to move, wonders if he is dying. As our protagonist's eyes close, the girl and the bastard hug, saying they can do that later. He calls her a smartass and says he will reward her for tricking Han Feng later. And in the last remnants of his life, Han Feng thinks that in his next life, he will no longer be a fool in love. Suddenly, a light appears. The light intensifies. Han Feng asks what that is. Your hand reaches out to the light, feeling its warmth. Han Feng wonders if this is the way to heaven. He feels his hand being pulled. Han Feng screams intensely as he disappears, exploding with particles. "Goodbye, boy. We will miss you. But calm down." Han Feng wakes up scared in a bed. He wonders where he is. So he, without understanding anything, takes a look around. 30 minutes pass. Han Feng feels the heat of the sun and says he thought he would never feel that again. He checks the date and realizes it is June 28th. Han Feng remembers that the apocalypse began on July 15th and concludes that he went back in time, being reborn. But the boy says something is different this time. Something strange is happening. He notices a red glow on his right hand that has been there since he woke up. Han Feng says the glow doesn't hurt. It just leaves him with a warm feeling. He says he doesn't seem to do anything else and that he thought he was imagining things at first. Then he makes a big sneeze. After that, Han Feng is surprised. He notices that the red glow in his hand has turned green. The green glow intensifies. Han Feng is scared. He wonders how science would explain the rays of light that are coming out of his hand. Han Feng says that green light is very unstable, decreasing and increasing in size, completely different from red light. Han Feng sits on the sofa. He feels his body completely drained. He wonders if the weakness he feels is because of the green light. Then he starts waving his hand around and around and wonders what the hell that thing is. But he stops for a moment and remembers the manhwa stories he read where the protagonist is always reborn with powers. Well now, be careful with him, guys. He broke the fourth wall. I repeat, he broke the fourth wall. Han Feng, holding a knife, he notices that the green light does not react to the object. Then he continues to watch the green light without reacting. Hungry, Han Feng says there is nothing in the fridge. Starving, he says that if he doesn't eat something soon, he will faint. Then he turns to the side and finds a jar of roasted soybeans, a snack left over from before the apocalypse. He says it will do for now, and then he will go to the supermarket. Han Feng holds the pot of soybeans with his right hand that glows green. Then he puts a soybean pod in his mouth. And guess what? An explosion happens around Han Feng. Han Feng looks around in surprise at what had just happened. A soybean sprout had just grown right in his mouth. Then he takes bud out of his mouth. Astonished, he doesn't understand what had just happened. Han Feng asks what those soybean sprouts that grew in his mouth are. Then he notices that he no longer feels tired. And well, the green glow in his hand disappeared. Han Feng wonders if the disappearance of the green glow has something to do with the soybeans. So to test his theory, he holds a soybean pod that has sprouts inside. Han Feng concludes that the soybean sprout is his power. Our boy says he needs to study more about this incredible discovery. But he quickly pulls the brakes and says he has more important things to do now and needs to stock up on supplies before the end of the world. Friend, with power like that, I was going to make my own food. The The next day I would have one making it in front of my house. A bird sings on a tree branch. Han Feng walks on a busy street. He recaps the events. First, a red glow in his hand, which turned green. The green glow that increases and decreases in size, making his heart beat faster and making him tired. And the touch of a pot of soybeans that resulted in the shoot growth. Han Feng wonders what kind of power this is. Then, as he thinks about this, a woman calls out to Han Feng in the middle of the street. I genuinely hope I'm not that traitor. Han Feng turns to the woman who called him. And holy shit, it's her! I'm going to punch my monitor now! The girl greets Han Feng, saying that it is a coincidence to find him shopping. She says it's like fate, meeting him like this. Han Feng, in shock, recognizes the woman, Lee Hyona. Our big boy thinks he did everything to make Lee Hyona, the goddess of his dreams, happy. He had loved her for 3 years. Han Feng thinks that even though he knew he was just a second option for her, he did everything he could to please her. The boy tries to calm down. Han Feng thinks that now is not the time for revenge and that he needs to secure his supplies first. While he thinks, Lee Hyona calls our big boy. The girl asks what happened to Han Feng since he was ignoring her while calling him. He apologizes to Lee Hyona, saying that she looks especially beautiful that day and that he was distracted for a moment. The girl asks Han Feng since when did he become so flirty, but right after saying that, the sadistic smile of the bastard appears. I want to kill this bitch. Someone hold me. Lee Hyona suggests that they take advantage of the coincidence of their meeting to go shopping together. Han Feng says he can't go straight that day and give the girl an absurd cold shoulder. Well done. Well done. Lee Hyona is surprised by Han Feng's refusal. She says that he would no longer deceive her with that tactic of using her as a private ATM and that she would no longer fall for that. Han Feng enters the Waldemar supermarket, the largest and most complete in the eastern region of City A. The boy remembers that during the Ice Age, the supermarket was completely emptied overnight and that no one ever found out who was responsible. So already knowing what's going to happen, he says he needs to stock up on as many supplies as he can before the apocalypse. Han Feng consults an apocalypse survival guide on his cell phone. The list of items is extensive, including food, water, medicine, winter clothing, fuel, tools, transportation, and weapons. But then he realizes he has a much bigger problem to solve before he buys the groceries. Han Feng looks desperately at his account balance. 15,357.50 money. You're crazy. It's hard to be poor even in the apocalypse. The boy, completely out of control, after seeing the amount he had available, wonders what to do with so little money. Then out of nowhere, Han Feng receives a message on his cell phone. The message is from a loan company, congratulating you on having your credit approved in 2023. The loan is up to 168,800 yuan. How convenient, right? Han Feng remembers the loans and thinks how he could forget about them. Then he quickly opens the loan applications on his cell phone. He says that there are many ways to get a loan and that he won't need to pay after the apocalypse. After all, there will be no one, nor any system to collect it after the shit stinks. Then, Lee Hyona appears walking down the sidewalk. She was amazed by Han Feng's behavior and drops a pot of soybeans on the ground. The girl thinks that Han Feng is just one of the many who humiliate themselves for her. How dare he refuse her? Lee Hyona says she is very angry. She insults Han Feng, saying he's a pathetic loser who doesn't even have a car and doesn't expect her to be nice to him again. I'm still rooting for her to get run over. And speaking of which, Lee Hyona hears a car horn. A pickup truck approaches. And who is directing, you ask? Well, that's right, our protagonist, who ends up greeting Lee Hyona, missed the chance to run over. Lee Hyona calls out to Han Feng in surprise. She asks if the car is his. Han Feng says yes and that he just bought it. Han Feng explains that his father was doing well in business in the United States and that he transferred money to him. And as if that wasn't enough, our big boy causes another 30 damage to her soul, saying that he had just left his father at the airport. Lee Hyona composes herself and asks Han Feng if he was taking his father to the airport that day. She apologizes for calling Han Feng out shopping without knowing he was busy, saying he had been so cold to her earlier. Lee Hyona says she thought he was getting rid of her to be with a friend. Then Han Feng says she is a silly girl. Our big boy puts his hand on Lee Hyona's face and asks why he would get rid of her, saying that she is very important to him. The slut says that Han Feng is special to her too and suggests they have dinner and watch a movie to get to know each other better. So she asks him what he thinks, but without her noticing, Han Feng was gone. Lee Hyona is amazed at the amount of things Han Feng bought. Then she asks the reason for so many purchases. Han Feng says it's no big deal, just things he likes. Our big boy grows his nose like Pinocchio and says he bought her a gift. I hope it's a bomb. Lee Hyona says goodbye, saying that she's looking forward to the gift and goes home. Then she walks away with a sadistic smile, thinking she managed to trick trick him. And well, right behind her, Han Feng smiles, saying that he can't let her find out about his stash. Han Feng looks at the boxes and says that this is his ticket to surviving the apocalypse. His more evil side projects and tells Han Feng to wait. When the world ends, he will get what he deserves, especially the man who helped him kill him. Han Feng says that he is actually starting to look forward to the apocalypse. July 15th, the day it all begins, with heavy snow and temperatures dropping to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Employees carry Han Feng's purchases to his pickup truck. Meanwhile, Han Feng thinks that over the next month, temperatures will gradually drop, reaching minus 70 degrees Celsius, and that the world will be overcome by ice and snow, making it impossible to leave the house. He needs to stock up on enough food, packaged and sealed, so as not to arouse suspicion among neighbors. Our big boy organizes the boxes in his apartment and says that sensitive supplies need to be moved by him at night when no one is around. Han Feng observes employees carrying gas cylinders and remembers that after the apocalypse, the electrical grid will be extremely unstable. He notices a generator and says he needs it to keep everything running for at least a year and enough fuel to do so. Employees modify the apartment's heating system. Han Feng watches and thinks that when the apocalypse comes, normal heating will stop, so he needs to modify his house to have an independent system. Han Feng says he also needs to reinforce doors and windows, so he starts looking at the inventory and says he needs a room dedicated to storing supplies. Our protagonist organizes his stock and says that when he finished preparing everything, it was already July 14th. Then he says there was only one day left before temperatures plummeted. Han Feng looks at a to-do list on his cell phone, which includes winter clothes and studying his skill. In other words, it's time for the main event.